Well, Lima's Industrial Pioneers, that's the featured exhibit right now at the Allen County Museum. We're going to learn more about that, and we've got some artifacts that are related to that kind of exhibit. To my immediate left, we have the Curator of Transportation at Allen County Museum, Charles Bates, and of course, Brittany Venturella. She's Director of Curatorial Affairs. I said that wrong, but
it's okay.
It's quite the title you have. All right. So they both work for the museum. That's the awesome part. So thank you guys for coming today. All right. So Brittany, let's start with you because this exhibit, what kind of pictures and things will we be highlighting when it comes to Lima's Industrial Pioneers?
So we found in our collections some great images of the actual people working there. You know, you always hear of the names and the founders, but we really wanted to know what was going on in the factories. So you'll have that. So there's actually, we brought 2 images that are going to be in the exhibit. And one is women rolling cigars, and the other one is from Lima Locomotive Works, and you can see just how dangerous that was.
Nice little flames and everything.
Right, yeah, there's so much hot metal around in that period of time. Yeah, so Charles, you know, to highlight some of these industries and, like, you know, that's big transportation, the locomotive, we're so famous for that.
Right.
It's kind of neat to be able to show off, hey, men and women were working here in Lima. We've got a big workforce from the beginning.
Very much so. Of course, Lima has always been an industrial community and all this, and we had very, very different industries and great workers and all this throughout. So yes, we try to highlight the best we can with this.
So what time period are we featuring in the pictures during this exhibit?
So the business is starting in late 1800s to mid to late 1900s, actually. So till by the time they ended.
All right,
so,
very good. All right, and they're on display right now at the museum, right?
Yes.
All right, so we were just talking that you guys have so many artifacts, you know, you can't display them all. So you brought some things. I was telling Charles, this is heavy. I mean, he's got some muscles here to bring this in, but these might not be on display, but they're related to it. So let's start. Let's start first of all what this is. Charles, you lugged this in. What is that?
This is an eye testing kit, and as far as I know, it was used on the Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton Railroad because the gentleman that donated worked there. So we got a combination of that, and we have a color perception little chart over here and all this, and you can see numbers.
Oh, yes.
So obviously they were, I think it was probably more mobile, and they were able to test, primarily I would assume engineers and such, kind of helped that they could see, and especially they could see colors or differentiating signals and such.
Right. Well, that's interesting that, that would be on the train, and, you know, that's an important factor to the whole industry in that, to have those on trains. So, wow, so that's portable. That is huge. All right. So we mentioned the picture of the cigar factory. Yes. So you brought a couple artifacts to go with that.
So the photo is from 1921, but Deisel Wemmer, in their various names, they were doing things with tobacco for about over 100 years, actually. And so the cigar box is actually a commemorative cigar box from the opening of their one of their latest factories in 1963. And so they continued producing and distributing tobacco until 1990. So, but they began in 1890.
And a little tiny, like, pair of scissors.
Yes, that's a cigar cutter. And actually, it actually has Deisel Wemmer. It's an advertisement for them as well.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right. So, I mean, there's a lot, rows and rows. So, I mean, they were really packing people in there when they were making cigars back in the day, huh?
Yes. In the early 1900s, so before this picture, there was 600 employees, and they would do a couple million cigars a month. They would be rolling them. So it was about the women because they apparently had more dexterity. So they marketed the cigar rolling to women, and they could roll cigars about one cigar every 12 minutes.
Wow, very good. Well, from a bunch of women, I assume, Charles, at the Locomotive Works, there weren't many women working there.
Very few, probably in maybe a secretarial type aspect at the time, but otherwise it was pretty much men and a fraternity of sorts, and of course family passed on jobs and such and all this. So that primarily would be that.
Yeah, and that was such a big job. It was such a huge factory when it was still here.
So. 67 acres and all kind of activity out there over the year, especially during World War II.
Right, yeah. It's so neat to hear about some of this history, and we can learn more about the industries when we go to the exhibit at the museum, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Very good. All right, well, thank you both very much for coming today and telling us about it. We'll have to head on over to the Allen County Museum. All right, don't go away. We'll take a look at the weather forecast next.